We're going to continue along our process of going through chapter by chapter. More than halfway now. We're on chapter 13. So this is a lion's share, looking for, again, trying to apply the rules that we found right in the roadmap section, the first like six chapters, trying to apply anything that we've learned or think we've learned, right? Everything's in quotations. You just assume when I say that just picture quotation marks when I talk about solves or clues or learning, because at the end of the day, we don't really know, right? So it's chapter 13. This one, pretty interesting. I don't know if it's completely related or why, but I did kind of re-go through some of the highlights of the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, trying to see if anything sticks out that, I don't know, this, from reading the chapter a couple times, it seems like he's a really big Jordan fan. So again, we're talking about chapter 13, the best of its class, the Jordan rookie card, page 117. This one, just from looking at photos, there's not that many pictures in this chapter, right? There's the illustration of the boy jumping. Hey, what's up, Greg? How you doing? So there's that picture, and then there's a Jordan card in the front. So to me, I'm kind of focused more on the words. Hey, what's up, Sean? And right off the bat, one of the quotes here, page 118. So on the previous page, you have Barack Obama, right? And it's at the very bottom, it credits him, even though it introduces the quote with, the President of the United States mentioned this when he presented Jordan with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So, he doesn't say which president, so I guess, that's why you need to put Barack Obama. And then the next page, it has a quote, which I think, we're supposed to look at the quotes here, but it doesn't have the little dash and then who's it said by. He does say in the paragraph introducing the quote, he says, Brent Huggins, the owner of PWCC, said the following about this card, right? So if you flip back and say, is that noticeable, right? Is that something special? Well, look at page 83. Page 83 with the two quotes on this page. They both have the little dash and who it's said by. Sun Y. Even though it's the same person that said it twice. And even though he's already introduced who says it, he says Sun Y has continued Charles' jewelry making. This is what she said, like her uncle, blah, blah, blah. And so we're like, oh, maybe is that a one-off, right? So you continue looking back for more quotes. Look at page 68. Page 68 on the bottom. The two quotes right there. You got Vince Lombardi and Ralph Waldo Emerson. And again, those quotes, they have who they're said by. Looking back, and I think there's only one more because the quotes started like on chapter 5. Is there quotes before that in chapter 5? Yep, here we go. Chapter 5 is the first time that quotes are mentioned. Hey, what's up, D.B. Cooper? Finding D.B. Cooper. We're talking about chapter 13, and right now we're looking at the quotes. So page 67, down here at the bottom, Thomas Aquinas. So far, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but every single quote that has like a paragraph break in it in the book has who's it said by underneath. Now we know that, with grammar and spelling, and I have a first edition book, so there's been mistakes that have been made, right? Hello, I'm new. What are we doing? Oh, hey, we're talking about this book right here, treasure book by John Collins Black called There's Treasure Inside. And we're looking through the chapters, trying to find clues to try to find a $3 million treasure that's hidden in 5 places in the United States. So if you're not in the United States, it's kind of going to be harder for you to find the treasure because he actually put it out there. But you can still follow along. Okay, yeah, so that being said, let me know what you think in the comments about this quote and if it's something out of the ordinary, to see if maybe he just forgot. Because, it's an editing error, because that does happen in this book, especially with the first edition. We've seen numerous misspellings. We've seen the calendar months put up twice. We've seen all kinds of errors that are later corrected. So if someone has an ebook, I'm curious to see on page 118, chapter 13, if he actually credits this quote right here in the middle, all right? So again, he does introduce it. He says Brent Huggins, right, the owner of PWCC. But in the book, there's no I don't know what the English term is with the little dash and then who's it said by, I guess. But so that makes me look at this paragraph a little bit with more detail, right? Because for the words, we're looking at details, right? For me, even though chapter with the magnifying glass tells you to zoom in, for me, I'm looking at the details in the words. And, some of the things that pop out, completely packed fresh, 50-50 alignment, dagger sharp corners, gem mint cardstock. Now, I'm not a card collector, so the first time I read through that, those words and sayings seemed odd to me. But going on through some card collecting websites, especially websites that have graded cards, those are, words that they use, right? Dagger sharp corners, gem mint cardstock. Even though the gem mint is capitalized and bolded, right? So that does look, maybe there's something there. I just think that's something that we put in our back pocket. Another thing that pops out in this chapter is page 119. All right, so listen to this sentence for page 119. This is when he's trying to, he realizes he made the team and he's the very bottom, like the last two people that are picked on the list. So he says, my coach chuckled when he pointed out during our first practice why my name was on the bottom of the list. I was the last kid he picked for the team, he told me. And when the season began, I was at the very end of the bench too. That seemed weird to me, that sentence and that phrasing. One, I'm impressed by the memory, right? So this is, he's almost 50 years old right now, and he's talking about a memory from middle school, and he talks about with 2 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the game, we led by 28 points, right? So for those of you who are big into the numbers and think that the coordinates are hidden in the chapter, that might be something to look at. I don't know if we're going to find coordinates. I'm not really down that road yet, but that's a great memory unless his parents, which the technology was there at the time, unless this was my parents were really supportive and really right, son? I think he made up the story, right? So if this was a game that was videotaped, like his mom or dad was one of those dads with the camera and videotaped, then I could see that, okay, yeah, he would have the minutes and the time available. But if not, anybody who's 50 years old, how accurate can you remember an event in middle school? Yeah, you might be able to remember, I scored on the wrong basket, that's embarrassing. But to remember the time, 2 minutes and 34 seconds, that's pretty specific. We led by 28 points. Even remembering the lead. So again, I think that's something there. And this, again, falls under the category. I don't really have any colors in this chapter. Like, we're looking for the blues, the greens. Unless you want to count the color red with, with the card outline, with the Bulls jersey. So unless you want to count red, which, going back through my notes, red means an underlying story. I don't remember any scores from me. Yeah, I don't I don't remember anything either. I can relate to this story. I wasn't really skilled at basketball. I went to a very small high school, so that's how I had a shot at making the team. We still had cuts and tryouts, but they needed bodies, so I made the team. I didn't play. I only played when there were blowouts, and maybe Tar Heel blue, but that'd be specific. It's kind of like a light blue, baby blue. I don't know, but I definitely relate to his. But I don't have any memories other than riding the bench. I think one time I tripped getting off the line. I don't remember times or scores or anything like that. And I'm a little bit younger than he is, so maybe he has a crystal clear memory. I don't know. It'd be great if one of his classmates or somebody he went to school with came out and was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that," but I don't know if we're gonna get that. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. So again, we have that quote on page 118 that doesn't have the little. If anyone knows what that's called, an attribute, doesn't have who it is. A citation. I don't know if that's the word, but that quote doesn't have anything underneath of it, and all the other quotes do. Starting in chapter 5 up until now, they all have that. I guess going forward, we'll see if the future quotes have it. I think that sentence, again, I want to read that sentence again. So going through this story, that's more and more thinking that's made up, right? My coach chuckled when he pointed out during our first practice why my name was on the bottom. So the coach is laughing, or chuckling, and he points out during the first practice why my name was on the bottom. So maybe he pointed out due to being asked, "Hey, coach, why was my name on the bottom?" The coach is like, "Ha ha ha. Well, your name was on the bottom because you were the last kid I picked." I don't, I don't really know what the significance of that sentence is. It just seems not too many sentences or paragraphs are extra. Like I mean, he's a pretty good writer in the fact that most of the sentences have something to do with the story. This one, unless it's emphasizing last, unless if that's one of the clues we're supposed to get from here, like into the bench or into the line, like rail line, right? You're looking for something that into the trail. You're looking for a name into the something. Like he's emphasizing that you're last, the bottom, last. If those are the key words we need to get from this chapter, last, bottom, I, I, I mean, I could see that. The other thing was this is one of the few callbacks to other chapters because most chapters have a segue at the end, right? So at the end of the chapter, it goes into a segue, talks about something else, right? Not too many chapters refer back. This one does all the way back to the front, and it's on the first page, page 116 at the very bottom. All right. He was already the most famous basketball player in the world, well on his way to becoming the greatest player ever. He was the basketball 007. 007, all right? So we're calling him back. I mean, you have a lot of choices you could have done here, right? I mean, so you could have said he was the basketball Wayne Gretzky. I don't know. I think Gretzky's older than Jordan. He was the basketball you could have picked, Da Vinci. You could have gone classical. You could have picked. He was the basketball. But again, 007 doesn't really fit, right? 007. I wouldn't say he's like the best of the best because he's all right. The basketball Babe Ruth, right? You could have used a sports analogy, but you went to a whole different topic of like, again, using a fictional person, right? So you used because 007, we have Ian Fleming, right? So you could have said the basketball Ian Fleming or the basketball Sherlock Holmes would have fit with the theme of the book, mystery, but you used a made up character. So again, I don't think it really fits there. He was the basketball 007, and then forcing that never stirred, never shaken. It just seems like it's like you had other options, and that's an intentional callback to chapter 1. So I think those are the three main things I'm getting from this chapter. Wait, somebody said something about colors. I want to go back. Need to give up on this blue thing, forcing it. I think the key to this chapter is keep it cool. All right, yeah. And I might agree with you. We're halfway through. If going forward, I don't really see the colors playing a bigger role. I'll probably drop the colors. It seemed pretty important the first 6 to 8 chapters, but then they're kind of dying out. So I might give up on the color thing. But I'm trying to let the chapters dictate how we go. Keep your cool. Mike was best on the bright light, something strange on it not being chapter 23. Yeah, hey, that's a good point, Neil. I didn't even think about that. I mean, that would have been great to put it in chapter 23. That would have just made a whole lot of sense. I mean, you've got the number 23 staring at you right here. If you do want to talk about 23s, though, why don't you go back to 2 minutes and 34 seconds? I mean, 23.4, 23, that's 234. If you want to talk about 23s, and we know that Jordan had other numbers. Ivana, yeah, it could be, it could be just, maybe JCB's a huge James Bond fan, maybe that could be. But yeah, 23047, I think it does have some pretty good significance. All about the sports, not the players. Maybe. I mean, maybe just the same way I'm forcing the colors. Maybe he's forcing a Jordan analogy. I mean, I tend to believe him he was from North Carolina, the Tar Heels connection. I mean, I kind of believe that. If anybody here went to high school in North Carolina, and I mean, would it be odd for schools during the playoffs to roll in a game and like pause your teaching and watch the college playoffs? Like, would that be odd? I don't know enough about it. I think the University of Maryland, when I was living in Maryland, was never really like amazing. So I don't know if we really had that that opportunity. But those are the big three things that I'm getting from here, right? The 007, shaking it back. The quote and the words in that quote by Brent Huggins, and then the story about the minutes and the time, the specific, the 2 minutes and 34 seconds. We led by 28 points, right? And then finally what the coach is saying. So that's like 4 odd things. That's pretty enough. It's a real thing. And it's oh yeah. So I've heard about the Duke craze. I mean, that's a little bit more my, when I was in high school, I remember Duke, who was it? JJ Redick was like the guy out there. I think they had a few years where Duke was like amazing. But yeah, I guess if that's, that's some confirmation that that's a real thing. So I'll tend to believe that part. But the having the memory of the score, and then the final score, right? He talks about our team played well. We led by 10 points in the first quarter, 15 in the second. I don't know. I think there might be something there. The final 4. What else? So that's pretty much what I got from this chapter. Be like Mike. He who keeps his cool best wins. Just play, have fun, enjoy the game. From Michael Jordan, right? I mean, but also look at that quote from Jordan. I mean, think of everything you know from Jordan. Just play, have fun, enjoy the game. I don't know. It seems like if you watch the Last Dance documentary, I don't really see him saying that to his teammates too much. Just have fun and enjoy the game. Like, pretty hardcore competitor, right? Same thing happens in offices. Nothing gets done for a week in March. Yeah, I think I can see that, Ed. I think with your your experience and thinking about it logically, I can see that for high schools and those times you'd be rolling in the TV cards. I think that makes sense. And again, there's nothing like, because it's his own personal history. I mean, I think he could take more liberties with retelling the story, and the fact that it's his own personal history. I think we should look where he takes liberties with that's one of the last things I'll probably talk about. Is some people have said that the 007 badge story never happened. I think it happened. I found 3 sources without too much Googling that talk about, there's several articles online about the first 10 Apple employees, and there's a few that talk about Steve Jobs wanting to be number 1, and then he was upset that he was 2, and then so that he made a 0 badge. But at the end of the day, when the payroll had to be, his number was still 2. And most of the sites credit, maybe that's because he's dead, maybe they're not afraid of getting sued or something, but most of the sites credit him as the second one. But Mike Scott is always number 7 that I've seen. So while I've only seen one source that from like 4 or 5 years ago that actually tells the 007 story, he's always mentioned as number 7. So whether JCB took a little bit of liberty there with kind of embellishing the 007 story, maybe setting up a 007 clue, which again is kind of out of the themes for the book. I mean it's adventure, right? But there's not too much spycraft, I would say, in the book, or like political intrigue, really. So far that I've seen, at least. But this is a short one. That's chapter 13. That's really all I got for there. Stay tuned. If you're interested in Essays Quest, I've got the trailer almost done for Essays Quest 3. I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a movie. It's going to be chopped up into like 15 parts. And, I've had so much fun doing the skits that now I'm kind of trying to do a full-length movie that'll be, and the hunt is going to be on the East Coast. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man. My bag's packed. I can't wait. So we'll see. If I get really lucky, maybe there'll be 2 gold coins in the box this time instead of the 1. But all right, that's it, guys. Chapter 13. That's all we had. All right, later.